Eddie Hearn was fuming today. The normally composed promoter let his frustration boil over after being slammed with the label of snake oil salesman for his role in pushing the upcoming Chris Eubank Jr. versus Benn fight, which many critics argue is nothing more than a manufactured spectacle rather than a legitimate boxing contest. It's a fight that's been carefully crafted for entertainment value, playing on nostalgia and sentiment, particularly among UK fans who still remember the bitter rivalry between Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. It's a clash that's supposed to harken back to the glory days of British boxing, only this time, the fighters involved are nowhere near the level their fathers were. And Eddie Hearn, as the man promoting this event, is caught in the crossfire of this controversy. Hearn's response to the criticism was heated, defending the legitimacy of the fight and his role in hyping it up, but there's no denying it. This fight has all the makings of a circus. The match between Eubank Jr. and Benn is being marketed as a high-stakes battle between top world-ranked contenders. But let's be real. These are not the fighters who should be in the conversation with the best in their divisions. Yes, both men hold rankings with the major sanctioning bodies, but if you look at their resumes, it's clear they've both been skating by on reputation rather than true accomplishments. Benn, for instance, has faced nothing but unranked opponents in his last 6 outings. How does that earn him a spot as a top contender? He's been comfortably protected, fighting in the safe confines of the lower rungs of the welterweight division. And now we're supposed to believe he's ready for the big time. Eubank Jr., too, is a far cry from the fighter he once was. The version of Chris Eubank Jr. that fought through the middleweight division with fearlessness and raw talent is long gone. He's been out of the ring for long stretches, and his knockout loss to Liam Smith raised major questions about his durability and his future in the sport. "I get it," Hearn said in an interview with Boxing Social, clearly annoyed by the criticism. "People want to tear this fight apart, call it a circus, but Benn is ranked with all the major governing bodies. Some of them have him in the top 5. So, what are we saying? That he's not a top 15 welterweight? Is that what we're trying to claim here?" Hearn's words rang out with the kind of defiance that only comes when you're under attack. He pointed out that Eubank Jr. still holds a place in the top 15 of the middleweight rankings, even if many believe he's past his prime. But just because the sanctioning bodies rank these fighters doesn't mean they've earned their spots through merit. Neither Benn nor Eubank has consistently proven themselves against high-level competition. And it's that truth, one that fans have been pointing out for months, that makes this fight feel more like a spectacle than a serious matchup. Take Benn's resume, for example. His most notable wins are against a list of fighters who, frankly, don't stack up to the competition in the top tier of the welterweight division. There's Peter Dobson, Rodolfo Orozco, Chris Van Heerden, Chris Algieri, Adrian Granados, and Samuel Vargas. None of these men are elite. None of them are even ranked in the top 10. So when Benn's name is thrown into the mix with the likes of Spence, Crawford, or even Jaron "Boots" Ennis, it's hard not to roll your eyes. He's been carefully protected, built up with padded victories, and now the narrative is that he's somehow ready for a giant leap in competition. The reality is, Benn has never been tested in a real way at welterweight. And the unfortunate truth is that if he were to face a genuine contender in his division, the outcome wouldn't be pretty. But thanks to Hearn's promotional push and the allure of family legacies, here we are, with a fight that many believe should never have been made in the first place. And then there's Eubank Jr. The 35-year-old fighter has seen better days. His once promising career has now entered a phase where each fight feels like it's just another step toward the inevitable decline. The knockout loss to Liam Smith was a stark reminder that Eubank Jr.'s chin, once considered one of his greatest assets, may no longer be as reliable as it used to be. He's been out of the ring, training haphazardly, without the kind of focused professional camps that elite fighters rely on to stay sharp. Eubank has always been known for his unorthodox style and willingness to take risks. But after years of bouncing from camp to camp, it's clear that his approach to preparation hasn't been as disciplined as it should have been. He's not the fighter he once was. Hearn admitted when asked about Eubank's decline. He's been patched up to get through camp and you can see it. His body is falling apart. He's not as fearless as he used to be. He's just doing it for the money now. That's what it is. There's no denying it. Eubank's once feared aura has faded, and now he's left trying to make a living in a sport that's unforgiving to fighters who can't keep up with the younger, hungrier contenders. For all his flaws, though, Eubank Jr. still has a significant advantage over Benn. The experience gap is huge. Eubank's years of fighting at the top level, facing men like Arthur Abraham, Reynold Quinlan, and Gary O'Sullivan, have given him the kind of resilience that Benn has yet to prove he has. The reality is that Conor Benn has never faced anyone near the level of these fighters, and that's where the fight's dynamic really shifts. Even at 35, even with all his flaws and setbacks, Eubank Jr. has more experience in the ring than Benn could ever dream of. Benn's inexperience could be his undoing when he faces someone who's been in the trenches before. It ain't going to be easy, but he's ready, Hearn said about Eubank Jr. He's got enough left to beat Conor Benn, who's inexperienced and doesn't have the same level of preparation. Hearn wasn't wrong about that. Benn may be younger and hungrier, but experience in the ring counts for a lot, and that's something Eubank still holds over him. This fight, despite all its flaws and manufactured drama, will likely be a spectacle. It'll draw in fans with the promise of nostalgia, the lure of a family rivalry rekindled, and the tantalizing hope that maybe, just maybe, Benn can shock the world and prove everyone wrong. But deep down, both fighters know that this isn't about legacy. It's not about championship glory. It's about money, plain and simple. This is a cash grab for both men, and it's wrapped up in a narrative that doesn't really hold up under scrutiny. At the end of the day, Hearn is betting on people buying into the story, on fans getting swept up in the excitement of seeing the sons of two British boxing legends face off in the ring. But the truth is, the outcome is likely already written. Eubank Jr. will win this fight, and Benn will go back to square one. The real question is, how much longer can Hearn keep selling this narrative before the public sees through the smoke and mirrors? Still, for all the criticism, there's no denying. Eddie Hearn knows how to stir the pot. He's made a career out of finding the emotional pulse of the audience and driving it straight into the heart of every promotion. He doesn't shy away from controversy. In fact, he leans into it. The louder the backlash, the more determined. He seems to double down. And with the Eubank Jr. vs. Benn bout, it's no different. Hearn's banking on name recognition, legacy, and the old-school rivalries to keep this event on everyone's lips. He's not pretending this is a fight that will define either man's career. Instead, he's selling nostalgia wrapped in suspense, hoping fans are too caught up in the spectacle to ask the deeper questions about legitimacy, rankings, or real title contention. And for better or worse, that approach is working. Whether people love it or hate it, they're still talking about it. And that, for Hearn, is the entire point. But beneath the bright lights and flashy promo reels, there's an underlying sense of desperation, not just from the fighters, but from the sport itself. Boxing has long wrestled with its own identity, torn between the purity of the sport and the profitability of entertainment. And this fight is a perfect example of that internal struggle. On one hand, it's a bout that should never have been billed as elite-level competition. On the other, it's a reminder that in modern boxing, marketability often trumps merit. Fans don't just want great fights. They want stories, drama, personal stakes. And in a world where viral moments and headlines carry more weight than championship belts, fighters like Benn and Eubank Jr. can thrive off lineage and social media buzz alone. That reality stings for purists. But it's also the harsh truth about where the sport stands in 2025. You can be undefeated, well-trained, and highly skilled, but if you don't have a story the public can latch onto, you might never make it past the undercard.